Good morning, everyone. My name is Maike. I came from Indonesia, Bali, Denpasar, Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Sangla Hospital. Thank you for the opportunity for me to present my case report, a new type of developmental anomalies of the Mullerian tract, cervicuterine discontinuity. Abstract. Congenital abnormalities of the uterus and cervix are abnormalities of the female genitalia that are usually caused by an anomaly in the development of the Mullerian tract. We report an operative management of a congenital abnormality of the uterus that is disconnected between the cervix and the uterine body. The patient in this case is a 14-year-old woman with the main complaint that she has never had her first menstrual period, but suffers from severe monthly lower abdominal pain. On investigation, it was found that the uterine body was separated from the cervix and there was a case suspected of being an endometrioma. Uteroplasty is performed to create an anastomosis and canalization between the uterus and cervix using an Elaton catheter that is placed for 3 months. The patient had menstruation about 1 month after the operation and there was no pain. Surgical management in this case significantly improves the patient's quality of life. Keywords: congenital uterine abnormalities, Mullerian ductus, and uteroplasty. Introduction. Congenital uterine anomalies are female genital abnormalities caused by an anomaly in the development of the Mullerian duct. The prevalence of uterine congenital abnormalities is about 4 to 7%. This is the picture of the classification of the congenital abnormal uterine anomaly. In this case report, we present the treatment for anastomosis and canalization between the uterus and cervix. This case was published with the written consent of the patient and his family. Case illustration. A woman complains that she has not had her period even though she is 14 years old. Growth of breast, fat buttocks, and thighs, growth of the fine hair on the folds of the arms and pubis according to age. The patient also feels lower abdominal pain that occurs periodically every month since the age of 2 months, but there is no menstrual bleeding at all. Lower abdominal pain is only felt for 1 to 2 days, then the pain decreases slowly until it disappears in about 4 to 5 days. The patient did not complain of a lump in the lower abdomen. Complaints of sudden weight loss, decreased appetite, or urinary and defecation disorders. Physical examination. Rectal tussure by a urogynecology consultant obtained vaginal impression within normal limits. There is no hematocolpos. Cervical palpation. There is a cystic mass on the left adnexa suspicious of endometriosis. The patient was consulted to the endocrine department and a transrectal ultrasound was performed and the uterus was of normal shape and size. Endometrial line positive. The cervix is not connected to the uterus. There was a mass in the left adnexa measuring 3.5 cm multiplied 3 cm and free fluid in the Douglas cavity. This is the picture of the ultrasonography of the patients. CT scan results. The impression of a uterus of normal shape and size. Cystic mass description measuring 3.98 multiplied 3.89 multiplied 3.53 cm in the left adnexa. The patient was diagnosed with primary amenorrhea at causa congenital uterine abnormalities, uterine cervical disconnection with endometriosis. The patient is then prepared for laparoscopy with preparation for laparotomy and repair, which will require inspection. The family accepts the explanation and agrees to take action. This is the picture of the laparoscopy. The uterus is of normal shape and size. Both tubes are normal. It looks like a left ovarian cyst. The size of a chicken egg looks like a chocolate bliss. The right ovary looks normal and menstrual blood appears to fill the Douglas cavity. On exploration of the posterior part, it appears non-communicating between the uterus and the cervix with peritoneal tissue as a license. On the caudal side, the position of the sacrouterine ligament shifts more inferiorly and is relatively smaller in size. Perform a laparoscopic cystectomy. Brown fluid came out with the impression of an endometriosis cyst. The cyst capsule was evacuated and the abdominal cavity was washed. The procedure was followed by a laparotomy for anastomosis and cervical uterine canalization. A financial incision was made. The abdomen was opened layer by layer. After the peritoneum was opened, the uterus, both tubes, and both ovaries were within normal limits. On palpation of the uterus separated from the cervix. It was decided to identify the cervix through the vagina. Inspection is performed and the cervix is identified and then clamped with a tenaculum. The cervix is normal in size, but there is no cervical canal. With sondage, identification of the cervix through observation of the abdomen. Looks like the cervix is not united with the uterus. Cervical canalization was performed with a probe to penetrate the peritoneum. A 14F Foley catheter was inserted into the peritoneum followed by abdominal surgery. This is the picture from the operation. The catheter from the cervix was identified. It was decided to perform a hysterotomy by penetrating the end of the base of the uterus. Canalization was performed with a Foley catheter inserted through an artificial canal to the uterine cavity. Then a fixation suture was performed on the fundus and the tip of the catheter, which was in the uterine cavity, with silk number 2, followed by hysteroplasty of the uterus with interrupted PGA number 1 thread. The cervix and uterus are joined with interrupted sutures with PGA number 1. Ensure that the uterus and cervix have been connected properly. There is no bleeding. The balloon catheter is filled with 3 to 4 cc of fluid. Make sure the catheter is properly fixed. Action complete. Operation time is about 4 hours. It is planned to maintain the anastomotic catheter for 3 months, and then the fixation node will be removed laparoscopically while evaluation of the uterine and cervical fusion is carried out. Post-operatively, the patient was treated for 3 days, given antibiotics, then went home with good post-operative wounds, and planned for control every 2 weeks with education for seatbelts with antiseptic solution during outpatients. In the control, the patient had menstruation on the 6th day. Menstrual blood appeared to come out of the vagina. Menstruation lasts for 7 days and is not accompanied by pain. There were no signs of infection and the catheter was well fixed. Plan to remove the fixation catheter per laparoscopy 3 months post-operatively. Discussion. Congenital abnormalities of the female genital tract caused by impaired embryological development of the Mullerian or paramesonephric tract. A consensus classification of these disorders has been published by the European Society of Human Reproduction and Embryology and the European Society for Gynecological Endoscopy. This case involved separation of the cervix from the uterine body and did not fit into the conventional uterine anomaly category. This case represents a new type of female genital anomaly without developmental defect in the Mullerian tract. At first glance, this situation is similar to a condition called Mayer-Rokitansky-Kuster-Hauser syndrome or MRKH syndrome. However, the MRKH syndrome that occurs is agenesis in the Mullerian tract and can be accompanied by agenesis of embryologically adjacent organ structures such as the kidney. This is not appropriate in this patient because the uterus, both ovarian tubes and kidneys and cervix are well formed. Abnormalities that occur only in the form of a disconnection between the uterus and cervix. This is the picture of the embryology. The anastomosis technique for the uterine and vaginal bodies is also performed in the case of radical trachelectomy, which can be applied to conjugate the cervix with the uterine body. Preoperatively, evaluation with ultrasound and CT scan is very important to understand the anatomical position of the uterus and adnexa for planning surgical reconstruction in this case. Penetrating and dilating the tip of the cervix to the uterine cavity using a sondage and catheter is also effective for the prevention of cervical stenosis. However, care is required in this procedure because the insertion of an intrauterine catheter can lead to infection, although this was not the case in our case. We successfully anastomosis the separate cervix and uterine body using modified hysteroplasty. We fix the tip of the catheter by sewing it on the uterine fundus using silk thread so as to prevent the catheter from slipping out when pulled by the patient. It is planned to remove the knot per laparoscopy 3 months after surgery while evaluating the result of the anastomosis suture that we did previously with the aim of facilitating periodic menstruation as well as reducing monthly abdominal pain. The cause of lower abdominal pain that begins at the age of 12 years can be due to the excretion of menstrual blood because there is no communication from the uterus to the cervix, so that the pressure in the uterine cavity becomes high and menstrual blood is excreted into the peritoneal cavity. This can also explain the appearance of free intra-abdominal fluid and the presence of endometritis in these patients. Conclusions. Because the patient underwent surgery, the patient complained that it was difficult to attend school lessons every month because of lower abdominal pain. However, the patient felt helped and was able to return to daily activities after the operation because her complaints were reduced and she had experienced his first menstruation. Therefore, reconstructive measures are very significant and greatly improve the patient's quality of life and even reduce anxiety in the patient's parents. However, it is not clear whether pregnancy will occur and what is the best method of delivery in this case. Given the abnormality of the sacrouterine ligaments, it is possible for future uterine prolapse to occur. So even though menstruation can occur, long-term follow-up is needed to assess whether this treatment is really successful or not. This case report is expected to trigger other reports that can trigger a new classification of developmental anomalies of the Mullerian tract. That is all from my presentation, and thank you.